Donald Trump called Canada ungrateful. He framed it as a complaint about trade imbalances and frustration with an unappreciative ally. But the response did not come from Ottawa. It came from Tokyo. That shift in geography is strategic. While Trump attacks Canada publicly, Mark Carney is building coalitions across the Pacific. This is no longer about rhetoric. This is about positioning. And the location matters as much as the content. Trump declared Canada ungrateful despite decades of American support. He cited trade relationships and security commitments, implying Canada owed the United States deference. The accusation was personal. Trump was reacting, venting, attempting to frame Canada as a problem. But Mark Carney was not in Ottawa waiting to respond. He was in Tokyo, and from Tokyo, he delivered a response that reframed the entire dynamic. Carney did not engage with Trump's accusation on its terms. He did not defend Canada's gratitude or argue about trade balances. Instead, he announced progress on a new trade framework with Japan, highlighted discussions with South Korean officials about energy cooperation, and referenced coordinated positions with Asian democracies on supply chain resilience. The message was unmistakable. While Trump complains, Canada is building alternatives. While Trump attacks allies, Canada strengthens partnerships. While Trump isolates, Canada diversifies. This distinction is critical. Trump's statement was reactive and emotional, reflecting grievance. Carney's response was structural and forward-looking, demonstrating options. Trump wanted confrontation. Carney provided evidence of progress elsewhere. That asymmetry is devastating because it exposes the limits of Trump's leverage. If Canada is ungrateful, why is it being welcomed in Tokyo? If Canada is the problem, why are Asian allies expanding cooperation? The contradiction writes itself. Carney's Tokyo visit timing is not coincidental. Japan is the world's third-largest economy, a key player in Indo-Pacific trade frameworks, and a democracy facing pressure from authoritarian neighbors. Japan is actively seeking reliable partners as geopolitical tensions rise. Carney's presence signals Canada is positioning itself as that partner. While Trump threatens tariffs, Carney negotiates agreements. While Trump burns bridges, Carney builds them. Reports from Tokyo indicate that Carney met with Japanese Prime Minister Shigeru Ishiba, Trade Minister Yoji Muto, and senior officials from the Ministry of Economy, Trade, and Industry. The discussions focused on critical minerals, hydrogen energy exports, and coordination on semiconductor supply chains. These are not symbolic topics. These are structural economic priorities. Japan needs stable access to resources. Canada has those resources. Japan needs diversified supply chains. Canada offers geographic and political stability. The alignment is not rhetorical. It is material. Carney also met with South Korean representatives during the trip. South Korea is another democracy navigating complex regional pressures, deeply integrated into global tech supply chains, and looking for partners offering predictability. Trump's erratic trade policy has made the United States less predictable. Carney's measured approach has made Canada more attractive. When Trump attacks Canada, he is pushing that ally toward competitors. The strategic implications are significant. Trump has framed his trade policy as America first. But if that policy drives allies to seek alternatives, it weakens American influence. Japan and South Korea are U.S. treaty allies hosting American military bases. But economic relationships shape strategic priorities. If Canada becomes a preferred partner for critical supply chains, that creates dependencies running parallel to, not through, Washington. Trump is not strengthening American leverage. He is fragmenting it. Carney's approach is the opposite. He is building redundancy and creating options, ensuring Canada is not solely dependent on the United States for market access, investment flows, or supply chain integration. This is not anti-American policy. This is risk management. It is effective because it does not require confrontation. It simply requires alternatives. The more alternatives Canada builds, the less vulnerable it becomes to threats. And the weaker Trump's position becomes. If you value serious geopolitical analysis and strategic clarity, subscribe to Canada Today. We track power, not theater. We analyze outcomes, not accusations. Because sometimes the most important response is not what is said, it is where it is said from. Political analysts in Washington are taking notice. Former U.S. trade officials have questioned the wisdom of alienating a stable neighbor while China expands Pacific influence. Security experts note that pushing Canada toward deeper Asian partnerships reduces American centrality in those relationships. Even some Republican lawmakers have expressed concern that Trump's rhetoric creates unnecessary friction with a key ally. This is not partisan criticism. This is strategic concern reflecting growing recognition that Trump's approach is counterproductive. The optics are also damaging. Trump attacked Canada from his social media platform. Carney responded from a bilateral meeting with one of America's most important allies. Trump looked isolated. Carney looked engaged. The contrast reinforces a narrative that has been building for months. Trump is burning political capital while Carney accumulates it. Trump creates problems while Carney solves them. And the more that contrast is visible, the harder it becomes for Trump to claim strength. Michigan Congresswoman Debbie Dingell weighed in, calling Trump's ungrateful comment both inaccurate and counterproductive. She noted that Canada is Michigan's largest trading partner and that antagonizing Ottawa serves no American interest. She pointed out that automakers, manufacturers, and energy companies all depend on stable cross-border relationships. Her criticism was measured but direct. This is not about partisanship. This is about economic reality. And the reality is that Trump's attacks are hurting American businesses as much as they are straining diplomatic ties. Canadian officials traveling with Carney declined to respond directly to Trump's accusation. Instead, they released a brief statement emphasizing that Canada remains committed to constructive partnerships with democracies that share common values. The statement did not mention Trump. It did not mention the United States. It simply reiterated Canada's focus on multilateral cooperation and rule-based trade. That restraint is deliberate. It avoids giving Trump the confrontation he seeks. It avoids elevating his accusation. It allows the Tokyo agreements to speak for themselves. This is where Carney's strategy becomes clear. He is not trying to win a rhetorical battle with Trump. He is trying to outlast him. Trump's presidency is finite. Trade relationships, infrastructure investments, and diplomatic partnerships are long-term. Carney is building structures that will endure beyond Trump's term. He is creating economic ties that make Canada less dependent on American goodwill. And he is doing it without drama, without escalation, without giving Trump the spectacle he craves. That discipline is itself a form of power. Trump's accusation of ingratitude also reveals a deeper misunderstanding. Gratitude is not a basis for international relations. Interests are. Canada does not owe the United States deference because of historical ties. Canada cooperates with the United States because cooperation serves Canadian interests. When cooperation no longer serves those interests, cooperation will decline. Trump seems to believe that allies should accept American demands out of loyalty. Carney understands that allies cooperate when terms are mutually beneficial. That is the fundamental difference between their approaches. The Tokyo response exposes Trump's isolation. While Carney met with Asian leaders, Trump posted on social media. While Carney negotiated agreements, Trump issued threats. While Carney built coalitions, Trump alienated partners. The image of a prime minister conducting diplomacy in Tokyo while a former president complains online is a visual representation of strategic divergence. One leader is engaged. The other is reactive. For Trump, this episode undermines his core narrative. He claims to be a deal-maker, to be tough, to be winning. But if Canada is ungrateful, why is it thriving diplomatically? If Trump is strong, why is Carney building alternatives? If America First is working, why are allies distancing themselves? These questions do not require answers. They simply require repetition. And the more they are repeated, the more Trump's narrative erodes. Mark Carney now has several strategic options. First, he can continue expanding partnerships in Asia, making Canada less dependent on U.S. market access. Second, he can use the Tokyo framework as a template for similar agreements with the European Union, further diversifying trade relationships. Third, he can allow Trump's rhetoric to isolate him domestically, letting American lawmakers and businesses apply pressure from within. And fourth, he can maintain disciplined silence, refusing to give Trump the confrontation that fuels his political brand. All of these options avoid escalation. All of them strengthen Canada's position, and all of them demonstrate that patience is a strategic asset. Trump called Canada ungrateful. He expected defensiveness. He expected a reaction. Instead, he got a report from Tokyo. He got news of trade progress. He got evidence that Canada is moving forward without waiting for American approval. That is not ingratitude. That is independence. And independence, in this case, is the most effective response. Because it shows that Canada does not need Trump's validation. It simply needs alternatives. And those alternatives are being built. If you value analysis that cuts through political noise and focuses on strategic outcomes, subscribe to Canada Today. We do not chase headlines. We track power shifts. We analyze structures. We focus on what matters. Because in geopolitics, the loudest voice is not always the strongest. Sometimes, the strongest voice is the one speaking from Tokyo. Donald Trump tried to shame Canada. Instead, he revealed his own limitations. He tried to project strength. Instead, he exposed isolation. He tried to demand gratitude. Instead, he demonstrated irrelevance. The response did not come from Ottawa because Ottawa did not need to respond. The work was being done in Tokyo, and that work will outlast Trump's accusations. This is what happens when grievance meets strategy. Grievance makes noise. Strategy builds options. And options are what matter.